Alright guys, so I thought about it for a little while and I've decided I'm going to go with these rigid cube lights. I just really like the huge, large arc of light that they put out, and they seem like up close they're actually a little bit brighter. And I just like the appearance of the extra quality here. I mean, these connectors are so much nicer. I mean, this just looks like really professional stuff here. So I think I'm going to go with these. You know, I can always change up and add different ones later, but I'm going to try these out. So I noticed that if you look at the wiring harness that comes with these, you've got these two pigtail leads here, of course, that go into your lights. Okay, and then from there, they run you down to a switch. And then from there, you go down to a fuse, and then your ring connectors for your positive and your negative. But I don't need all of that because I opted for the optional auxiliary switches in my Jeep. You guys have already seen these before, but you've got 4 aux switches here in the Jeep. You can get these on sport models, I guess any model. You can order these as an optional. I think it's like $295, and in my opinion it's really, really nice because everything is already fused and wired, and so it makes it really simple. You've got a loom of wires up under the dash there that you can use, but you've also got these under the hood, and they're going to be taped up here next to the battery, so you have to undo a little bit of electrical tape and pull them out. But here's the 4 wires here, and if you look in the owner's manual, it'll tell you that you've got 2 40 amps and you've got 2 smaller ones that are 15 amps each. Look here in the owner's manual, it says that the beige one is 40 amps, that goes to switch number 1. The green one, 40 amps, goes to switch 2. You've got an orange wire, 15 amps, that goes to switch 3, and then switch 4 goes to the dark blue, which is also 15 amps. So if I look at the box here, it tells me that these cube lights draw just a hair over 2 amps each. So that's a total of, we'll call it 4¼ amps, just to make it a nice round number. So obviously the 15 amp wire is going to be more than enough to do what we need to do. So I think I'm just going to wire mine to switch number 3 here, which is the orange wire. So what that means is I can take these 2 leads down and probably make a cut somewhere in the wire right here. I don't need the switch because I've already got that in the Jeep. I don't need the fuses. I've already got that in the Jeep also. All I'm going to need is this part of the wire right here. Connect to the lights, run me probably a ring terminal down here for the ground, and then we're going to connect the positive red wire directly to the wiring in the Jeep. Should be a piece of cake, and that's what makes these aux switches so cool and so handy. So let's get started here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take off these cowl covers here on the corners. I'm going to take this one off, then the one on the other side also, and then I'll be able to see through the cowl, and that'll make it easier to run the wiring in a safe manner. Over on the JL that I had, I ran my wires through here for my trailer brake wiring, and it worked out fine. I did put a protective loom around it, but I would just prefer to run the stuff back here. It'll keep it a little bit more isolated from the engine heat. So you're going to need a T40 to remove these 4 Torx bolts, and then this cowl cover will just slide off. Thankfully I've got my nifty little tool that I just bought here that should make this pretty quick and easy. So I'm going to go ahead and knock these out, and then I'll be back in a moment. Now when you get these out, you're going to notice that you've got 2 that are long, and they go in the top up here, and then you have 2 shorter ones. Those are the ones that go down here on the side. So when you put them back in, make sure you keep them straight. Now over here on the driver's side, obviously it's going to help if you get the antenna out of the way first. So I found that a 10mm wrench fits that the best, and then you can just run that off. That'll get it out of the way so you can pop this cover off. Now when we look through the cowl there, I don't know if it's going to focus or not, but you can see that the windshield wiper motor is kind of right in the middle. So it may be a little helpful if you use some kind of a fishing line, not fishing line, but a fish tape is what I meant to say, or maybe some kind of a piece of wire or something that you can fish the wire straight across there with. Additionally, you could take the wipers off and remove that cowl cover, and it would make it really easy, but I'm going to try and do this without doing that. So I'm gonna find some way to fish the wire across there to the other side. Now, I don't have my brackets just yet to mount my lights. Those are supposed to be here this coming week, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do the wiring portion of it right now. And then when the brackets show up, I'll be able to just pop the lights on real quickly. So I ended up finding an old magnetic mount CB antenna, and I took the mast off of it, and it happened to be just long enough to reach across there. It was perfect. So I taped up one end of my wire to the mast of the CB antenna, and I was able to push it right through there. Perfect. All right, so that was an absolute piece of cake. Once I got my connector over here to the driver's side, I'm finished over here. I put a zip tie on it so it wouldn't come back through when I'm working on the other side. So my connector's over here, ready to go. Went ahead and put the cowl cover back in. Haven't bolted it down just yet. Gonna do that when I get finished. And then over here on this side, I've got my connector neatly tied up there. And of course, like I said, we don't need the switch, the fuse, and all that stuff because we're wiring it directly into the Jeep. So all I have to do now is make a cut right about here, connect my positive to the wire, and then my negative I'm going to ground right in here, and we should be done. These things will be ready to use. Pretty cool. So if you order the auxiliary switch option, you also get this cool little bag full of heat shrink tubing. Sorry if that's not focusing, but make sure you check your Jeep and verify this is in there. This is supposed to come with it, and that just makes it extra handy when you're doing your wiring. You can throw this on there, heat it up, and give you a nice watertight seal on your wiring connections. Again, Jeep thought of all these little things, and that's really, really cool. All right, guys, so I got my positive wiring connection made, and I E-taped it back up, and I got my ground wire connected right there. So should be done. Just gonna tuck this stuff down here out of the way, make it a little neater, and then we'll plug in a light and we'll see if it works. All right, so I got a light connected here. So let's reach in, press the button, see what we got. There you go. Piece of cake. That is so handy. Well worth the $2.95 for the option, if you ask me. Now, pardon the air conditioning noise. It's super hot, so I have to run this. But I just wanted to show you this. Another cool feature about the aux switches is that on your screen here, you can go to settings and aux switches. And let's say I just connected those to aux 3, right? You can tell it if you want it to be latching or momentary, if you want it to be off the battery or the ignition. Obviously, if you choose battery, then you'll be able to hit the switch and turn the lights on anytime you want, whether the engine's running or not, and then recall last state. So the owner's manual says that if you do it like this, latching, ignition, and then recall last state, then every time you turn the vehicle on, it'll go back to the state that you had the button in before. So like in my case, it's turned on right now. If I shut the Jeep off and turned it back on, it would automatically come back on. You may or may not want that. In this case, I don't want that because I only want to use these lights on rural roads when it's dark, very limited time, you know, so I'm gonna change this up a little bit. But I just wanted to show you that because it's really cool how they let you do that through the screen. Very, very simple to turn them on with the ignition or anytime you want to have it remember your state or not. Pretty neat, pretty neat. So there's a look at how you wire up some cube lights to the aux switches, and hopefully my brackets will be here in a couple of days. I can permanently mount these lights, and then we'll go out for a drive and I'll show you what they look like out on the road. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.